Hi, it's Nick Glorioso, Glorioso Wildlife Mounts Taxidermy, Port Henry, New York. Today we're going to do a new and exciting episode for you. We're going to be mounting an Impala. This is Mr. Anderson's Impala, a good customer of mine, good friend of mine out of Colorado. So today we'll be mounting his Impala. He shot in Africa going on 2 years now. If you've mounted African before, you know it takes a while for you to get your kids back. So I already have the horns mounted to this form. I haven't touched the form. I pre-fit my cape here. This was tanned by Wilderness Tannery in Long Island, New York. And this cape is ready to go. I have my ear liners in it. These ears were terrible. A lot of African game, your ears are going to come back just horrible. But this thing is pretty much ready to mount. So this cape is about set. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you into the prep work here first. We'll Dremel out the nostrils, the lip line. We'll set our eyes right before we mount it. This is a long wide incision. So and we'll put some detail into it. So you can go with whatever order you'd like. But first and foremost, make sure your cape will fit, or you'll have to do some alterations. So, all right. So I have a couple of pins here, so later on when we put our cape on here, we can just tack our cape. It'll help us in the sewing process. So, all right. What we can do, as I said, you can do whatever you like first, but what I like to do is take a riffler file here, and we're just going to accentuate some of this muscle. Push into this. This form here is from the Kenzie Taxidermy supply. I like to put a groove in there and then just work this muscle detail in here. So anywhere you see your muscle detail, just work your file and then just kind of grind it out a little bit. Good. And then you can see over here the shoulder blade. You want to put as much detail you can in your mount. So this is your neck area. Just put a little bit of detail in here. All right. This is your throat latch area. And you can see it's a short-haired animal, Impala. Impala is basically an African whitetail, if you will. So this mounting stand is real handy. You can buy them from Kenzie Taxidermy Supply. So any flashing you have, just clean the flashing off. So this is called form prep. We're just getting this form ready to put the screw in. So, alright. A little bit of right here. See that? Work that in there. Okay. Now, turn this form a little bit here. Okay. Now you can see you have detail here on the face, so same thing. It's called a dilatator dip. Zygomatic arch. One thing about taxidermy, after a while, you'll need to learn anatomy. So this is just the nostril area. Okay, the veining here in the nostril. And then same thing on the other side. Just going to put this detail into it. So the more detail you put into your mounts, the more your mounts will stand out. So Got to do a good job. Not gonna lie, I got very frustrated because the ears were terrible and probably spent, I don't know, an hour and a half just on the ears. So I could have done maybe 6 sets of whitetail ears in that amount of time, but oh well. Alright. So we got some detail here. And I'm gonna push this in a little bit. Oop. Well, you lost your mouth. Alright. Gotta have some fun doing taxidermy. It's better to get punched in the mouth or shot in the mouth. Alright. There we go. Not gonna, any flashing, like I said, this isn't like it's a Canadian whitetail. So, it's a short-haired animal. So any flashing, just make sure to knock it off. Any imperfections, we can put clay in there. I see a couple of imperfections on this side here from the mold process. So what I like to do is punch some holes here with this file, and that'll help us see. It'll help us see our eye. Just punch a few holes in it, and then just rough this area out here a little bit. That's fine. Okay. All things you learn after a while. Make your job easier. Like I said, you can go any order you want. Just make sure you kind of sort of have your tools handy. My drill I charged overnight. What I'm going to do is get a pretty good sized spade bit here. And we're gonna, this is a 3/4 inch. We're gonna tap out our ear openings here with this. There we go. There. You learn little shortcuts. You can take a knife and carve it out with the knife. There we go. Fine. Good enough. Okay. What I need to do is anchor this head a little bit more. I lined it up, I only put 1 screw in it, not enough. You want to put 2, 3, 4 screws. Make sure this booger's not going to move. So, okay. There. It's a 2-inch screw, firewall screw. Okay, those horns are not going to go anywhere now. Okay, it's just that easy. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill this in with clay. And we go mount it. You see, it looks like this skull could crack just a hair. Might want to do, it would be a smart thing to do right now. When things happen, who knows, they boiled the skull out and all that, so it'd be wise to just take a job of Bondo here and just go over that. Just to strengthen that out. This thing is going to go to Colorado in the crate, so take a gob of Bondo. It's a partner. This one here, it doesn't matter how hot you get this. I don't care if it sets up in 2 minutes, not a big deal. I just want to cover these screws and all that. I'm gonna put the job of Bondo and I'm going to reinforce all this area. Try not to get Bondo on your horns because you'll be a little tricky getting out. I'm just reinforcing all this. If you have an old knife or whatever, you can grab that. I do have it right here. I'm going to dab it on there and then I'm just going to push it underneath the skull plate like this. And I'm just going to reinforce it. And we got a couple minutes after it dries and we could shake it, shape it. All that good stuff. Old butter knife. And you take your butter knife and it's kind of fun playing with this stuff. And we're just filling the voids in here. Got plenty of extra here, so we got Bondo. I'm pushing it underneath it. And we're going to have to take a good portion of clay and go underneath our horns later too. So that's good. Just reinforcing this area. The knife really helps you out. You don't want to go crazy because you don't want to get this skull plate way too big, and then later on you can have a problem fixing it on it. Let's make it natural. Just about drying right now, so. Nice and reinforced. Let this cool for a couple minutes. So, well, that's cool. We can get going on the other parts. So, first off, what I did was I put some detail, accentuated that. Now, this is called a stout rougher. There's a stout rougher, and there's also a slim rougher. And this one's really shot. I've used this thing so much, but the slim rougher really gets into the small parts here, and it roughs up the form. There's still a couple roughing needles on this thing, but not much. Okay, so this stout rougher is pretty much brand new, and what you want to do is get all the slickness out of your form, so your hide sticks to it. Not a huge animal, so not like a bull elk. It'll take a few minutes to do this. Try not to ruin your detail here real lightly. This is a wall pedestal mount. Okay. There goes his mouth again. I'm going to put his mouth over here. Actually, we can move this board out of the way. That's probably next week's show. Okay, so this is a wall pedestal mount, you can see here. So we need to use this. Well, this is probably going to be black leather, but we can rough it up for now. Then we're to hold form this whole thing slick and roughed out. Make long strokes here and just cover a lot of area. You can hear that roughness to it. That's where you want. Again, go easy on the face. We're not trying to get rid of these veins and all that stuff or put into it. We just want to make it scratchy. You can hear how scratchy that is. It's not slick anymore, that's great. Like the brow here, rough that up. The nose area. Want this whole thing all scrubbed up. No slickness to it. Almost done. Brisket area, armpit. Keep over left armpit. We'll probably fill this up with a little bit of clay, give it a little bit of a throw batch. I think that's about it. Here, maybe a little bit more here. A couple deformities in the form, so we'll just fill that up with clay. What you don't see on film is that I probably spent over 2 hours already prepping this cape and all that good stuff. This is a riffler file. Like I said, you want to, now at this point, if you've got any bumps or lumps, whatever you have here, you want, before it hardens all the way, you can shape this. So you can see that bondo coming off, just shaping the skull. And if it's not perfect, then no big deal. We're gonna get our clay and just make it perfect. This is just to reinforce this skull plate. Really was my goal here, and that's very solid now. So you'll spend about 50 cents a bondo and saves you a lot of headaches. So this is really reinforcement. Fine. This riffler file is pointy on one end and rounded on the other. So good stuff. Now, what we need to do is work on our nose and cut our lip line in and all that stuff. I'm going to get my little saw and show you. This is a lip slot tool, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a lip slot here. This is the lip line, and we'll go all the way around. What we want to do is go at an angle. That's natural. So what I do is I put my finger on here, and I'll twist in a little groove in the back. And go keep the same angle. It's just a jigsaw blade put into a handle. Okay. I go to the middle, and then what you want to do is you can start back here, wherever you want. Just keep the same angle. That's all you want to do. Keep the same angle. Okay, that's fine. That's all there is to it there. That cuts the lip slot in here. Not perfect, don't worry about it. We'll put some clay in there. So, what we can do now There's a couple different tools we could use. This is a very easy tool to use, or we could actually use this file too. We need to grind out this nose area a little bit. So we can put our nose skin in it. So you can use just a 2-inch screw. You can do that. A little trick I learned in Montana. It works pretty well actually. I don't like using Dremels anymore. I used to use them. But this gives you a lot more control. And it's a lot easier to do this. Just grinding out this nostril area. So our nostril skin can seat in there. See that? It's pretty good right there. Nice and deep. When we do our finish work before the mount leaves, we'll fill any gaps that we have and all that. Okay. So, same thing on this side. Push this in. I like to outline it first. I'm going to actually show you how to install an artificial septum here. It only takes a second. What we're looking for is symmetry. I want to see how deep this side is here. And I want to match that. Okay. Now, what you can do is take your Riffler file, and this is long enough to go through this little animal's nose. Make sure it's nice and flat. That's good. Okay. So now what we do, these are septums. We use these for a lot of my big game animals. What we'll do looking for my scissors where we can use our scalpel. That works too. But what we're going to do is just push a septum in here. So we'll go and cut this out. Just trying to trim this thing out a little bit. Here. Okay. Now what we can do is take our lip slot tool and just go right down the center. Right down the center of the nose. Just be careful. Now what we do is just take our plastic septum, which is nothing more than off of a gallon milk jug. You can buy them actually. You can buy them through Kenzie. A lot of taxidermy supplies sell them. So I'm just going to push that in there. Make sure it's in there good enough, which it is. We'll cut the excess off, and then we'll go and seal it. Now what we want to do, we want to pay more attention to it. Now I can see what's going on. Because I have my septum put in there. I want to make sure both sides here match. There we go. It's really nice there. There's not much to an Impala nose. So that septum's installed. You can see right through it. It's clear. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the grain of a nostril right here. Really nice. Okay. Just a little, like Emerald says, Emerald Wakazi and his food, you kick it up a notch. Well, you can kick up your taxidermy notch there too. It's little stuff like that. Okay. We'll seal this in with some clay and all that good stuff. Like I said, our cape is pretty much ready to go. Just need to put a little bit of clay inside there for the earbuds. These ears on Impala are not very big, so. Okay. We've got our form roughed up. We have our horns put in place here. We'll need to put some clay around these horns, and we'll get everything filled in here now. Then we also need to put some clay in the earbuds. This is credit clay, almost zero shrinkage. So we'll put a little bit of clay in these ears. So what we want to do is have clay in the ears, the ear liners, and then clay in here. And it's going to be a clay to clay junction, which obviously is going to stick, right? So yeah, I have a little imperfection here. That's from the form. A little divot in the form there. Just gonna fill it with some clay. You could also fill it with Bondo if you like. There's another little divot there. Again, if this was a Canadian whitetail, no big deal because it probably has 2-inch hair on it. This is a pretty short-haired animal. So what we'll do, we're going to put some clay on there, on a snow plate here, just to blend it in. And also where our skin is going to go around these horns, you want to put some clay around there so they lock up real nice. Okay. Same thing with this side. Don't be afraid, just put some clay in there and lock up real nice. Same thing around the back. This edge was missing a little bit of clay. That's what the clay is for. You can spray it. You spray your clay. It'll be easier to play with. Okay. Just put a little bit more clay here. Needs a little bit of fill. And again, I could have mixed more Bondo up and done that. I just don't want a huge skull plate. But you don't want to leave a hollow either. You want it to be natural. So, there we go. It's getting there. Nice and natural. Okay. Looks good. And you can spray it. Spray your clay with Windex, some water, whatever you have. Okay. Now you can go whichever way you want on this. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to set my eyes. And these are from Kenzie Taxidermy supply. And these are very, very expensive. They're the Joe Meter. I don't know if you can see this, but this is just a beautiful eye. See how beautiful that eye is. Okay. You can see the squirrel band. There's veining in there. Just beautiful. Beautiful eye. Okay. So what we want to do, we're going to set our eyes. Angle this so you can see it. What you want is just a little bit of clay in the back of the eye to seed it. Okay. These eyes are glass, so treat them as such. They can break. Okay. So we're gonna push this eye hard against the form. Now I'm going to get my other eye. Now the right angle is into these forms already. The right angle of the eye is built into the form. So here's our squirrel band on this side. So okay, you want to make sure you get the right, put your eye in there. Okay. And I'm not just going to take my word for it right there because I really can't see it too well. So what we need to do, get a little cheap $3 flashlight. I'm going to wet my eyes. You want to make sure your eyes are set first, right? Pupil level with the earth. That's what we want. Perfectly level. Perfect. And this side here, they weren't close, but not exactly right. Now we're perfect. Okay. So I wet them, push hard against the back of the form here, and then they're level. That's what we want. Okay. Now this is where the magic comes into place here. Okay. Like I said, Impala is basically an African whitetail, if you will. And they're very much the same similarities. Okay, you can start anywhere you want here, but what I do is I roll worms of clay. You can see that. Okay, you're going to see this eye come to life pretty quick here. The back corner, I'm going to roll this right in here. I'm going to pinch it off. Okay. And do the same on the other side. This is what we're looking for, is symmetry here. We want them both the same. Okay. So I just have this. We'll go and fix this here. I have the bottom here. And now we have them seated. I have them locked in. I'm going to build the upper brow. Okay. Take a thicker piece of clay, thicker worm if you will, and we're going to put some expression into this eye. Should start seeing them come to life here. Okay. Okay. Now, what I do is the upper brow, and just roll it right into this thing. Now what we can do, we can spray it down a little bit. And I have an eye tool. So this the animals, right? There's the right eye and there's the left eye, right? So this is the animal's right eye. I'm just gonna bring this down here. Again, this is all rough. It doesn't look right now, but once we start tucking it, it'll be just fine. Okay. Yeah. Just gives you an approximation. Okay, same thing on the other side. And then once I have both eyes set here, then I'm going to put a little bit more detail. So roll another worm of clay for the upper. Push the upper. Put too much there. Now we're going to build the brow. A little bit of clay, soft tissue underneath. Again, we can spray this down, and we can also spray it down. We can also take our tool, and this is the animal's left eye. So this is just going to give us an idea where our eyelids are going to go. Okay. Start coming to life here. Alright. Okay, so we have that in place. Now, what I like to do, I'm just looking for my little bunch of tools here. Trying to find one of my wooden cutting tools. Okay, here's one of my wooden ones. And this actually, I actually made this with Tom Orr. You might know him from the Mountain Men series on History Channel, but it's one of my good friends, Montana. So this was made out of, believe it or not, was made out of a bow I was supposed to make. It's easy like that, but it turned out to be nothing more than a bunch of tucking tools. Okay, I goofed up on it. Alright, I'm just going to push this a little bit. And I'm just cutting a little bit of an eyelid here. Again, this is just really rough. You don't even have to do that. So we have basically everything all set. I'm going to push this in. And real quickly, you have to do is just put some clay in the ear linings. We need to build that junction to the earbud. So we go through a lot of clay. A lot of guys they buy potter's clay, and they'll buy potter's clay, which is really cheap, and then they'll buy critter's clay. I happen to run out of my potter's clay, so I'm just using critter clay for everything, and it's a lot more expensive, but it works. You can get away with powder spray in this area. Now, Impala really don't have much of a ear butt, not very big. So I rolled up a worm and I put it around it. I'm just pushing it into place here. So we have a nice ear butt. Okay. That's that. Again, these ears were horrible, so I did the best I could with them. These ears were terrible. Probably some of the worst ears I've ever seen as far as they were all torn up. But let's just do the best we can. So take the worm, play. Try to keep bolts, your right ear and your left ear. Try to make them the same size. And once you get your worm of clay in there, you take your thumb and just push it into place here. And if you can see that, I'm just pushing it into place. Here. See that? Magically it makes an earbud. Because that's where the earbud was. So, you can see this on film. I got it packed in there pretty good. Watch this magic. Oh, my buddy Ronnie Lambertson many years ago showed me how to do that one. Look at that. You know, perfectly custom made earbud, which that was the size of his ear. So, okay. Now I'm going to go and look at the other side, make sure this is the same. And if you need to add more, do so. You need to add some more. You can see. Perfect. Okay. Now, it's like taxidermy. You go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing. Okay. I'm going to spray this down a little bit with some Windex. Has ammonia, which is the bacteria side. And it'll help me stretch this thing out a little bit if I need it. The Windex really is not that much money, so okay. I'm just gonna close this tape up for a second here. Okay, next thing we're going to do, since this is a long wire incision, it's not a short wire, we can easily manipulate our skin on here without getting pie paste all over the place. So, okay, so this old boy's looking a little scary right now, but a little bit of time here, he'll look great. Okay, so pre-mixed Tide paste, big old goop right there. This is from Kenzie. They sell them in 5-pound bags. So I like to get a big old goop of that, and you only want 1/8 of an inch or so. So you get a big old goop and kind of leave. That's why I wear an apron too. Leave a gap on the back here, maybe a couple inches or so. So you can see that big old goop. I'm still going with that. We don't need a crazy amount. We just want the hide paste to lock the skin to all the work we did on the form. So that's what we're looking for. So keep this thing up here. Beginning on the horns, don't freak out. Not a big thing. We can wash that. This is water soluble, so don't freak out. Again, take another goop, this thing, and just work it. Get it where the ears are going to go. They're not a huge animal. They're probably 90 pounds, 100 and change is a real big one. So naturally this form isn't so huge either. If this was an elk, I'd be putting hide paste on this thing for probably 10 minutes. Alright, just massaging this hide paste into this thing. Our eyes are set. We've got clay all over the place. Alright. Again, we can move this thing around. This is a pedestal mount, so later on we can go and either we can go. What I'll probably do is just lay the extra skin here and then staple around the edge there. That's probably what I'll do. So, and if we need to build up the nose area, that's very easy to do with some clay. You can see, I think we got pretty much enough clay here. You don't want an over excessive amount. Well, we have a good amount of clay. A good amount of high paste. Alright. We can take this nasty old glove off, inside out, just flip it. Buy these aprons from Kenzie, I think they're $5-10. Very cheap. It saves you messing your clothes up. Okay, now we're ready to do. This cape has some good stretch to it, but again, these African capes, they stretch a little differently, so it's going to get a little bit of pre-stretch to it. Okay. Now, what we need to do is try to get this skin on this form without getting 100 pounds of hide paste on it. So, okay. Yeah. Pull this on very easily. Take your time. Back and forth. Kind of sort of get it where it needs to go. And you might need to pull it back more, but I'm more concerned about getting this thing on there without getting hide paste all over the place right now. So what I'll do, like that, like I said, I have my pins in place. So I want my brisket kind of sort of where it's going to go. Right there. And what I do is just tap it. Okay, like that. Then this side here is only blue. Tack this there. See, looks like a Impala on crack right now. Looks like some of them old boys in New York City, maybe. Strung out all night. His ears are flopping down, and he's all messed up. All right. Gotta have fun doing taxidermy, right? You gotta have a hot assistant too. That's prerequisite. Just what I'm doing now, I'm just trying to get my skin in position. Again, first and foremost, don't try cranking on this thing if you haven't pre-fit it. Don't try cranking on it. And hopefully using a force or whatever, and that it's going to go together. So this might not. Like, this thing only has a 17-inch neck on it. It's a pretty decent size Impala. But don't try putting it on a 19-inch Impala form if it's a 17. Okay. So we'll go and pull on this in a little bit, but what I'm doing is just kind of tacking this. I'm using these, they're 3-inch pins, upholstery pins, what they are. That's that. You can see that there's some wrinkles in this, but these will come out because the name taxidermy comes from Greek. I don't know if you knew this, but taxidermis is actually the root of it, and which means taxi means moving, and dermis means skin. So that's how the name taxidermy came about. So after it's sewn up, we're going to need to remove the skin. So some guys, what they like to do is put some pins in there, which you can do, as long as your bondo, didn't go through it all and make it all hard and all that stuff. This is going to be pretty much, the ears are going to be up on this. All kinds of wrinkles on this thing right now. Just trying to get this somewhat in position. I'll get it sewn a little bit, and then we'll go and move the skin where it needs to go. Alright, so what we can do, take our needle and our kick thread, and then we'll start closing up our incision. What I do is I tie a loop at the end of it. This later on we're going to need to adjust this face area and all that. Kind of sorted in the right place, but not 100%. Okay. This skin is tanned by my good friend Bob. He's in Long Island. Wilderness East End Tannery. Excellent job. But he can only do as good as what's sent to him. In other words, this skin was pretty tore up, it looks like, when it came from Africa. So, alright, we're going to take a stitch here, top of the crown. We're just going to lock this in place here. It's going to be a baseball stitch. Back and forth, back and forth. And it takes a couple stitches to even get that thing going. What I usually do is sew it up, and then I'll spray it down the seam with some water or Windex. I have big hands, so this big old needle helps me out. And as long as you take tight stitches, you'll be fine. It's a short-haired animal, but you know, its hair is probably a ½ inch or so. kind of like sewing up a coyote or something like that. Let's take some short stitches and keep going back and forth here. Here. I'm sure Mr. Anderson can be happy to get his Impala back. It takes forever to get your skins back from Africa, and it's really a pain. It's got to go through custom, all kinds of stuff here. So, alright. Just going to leave this end like that. And I'm going to go and do the exact same thing on the other side. And we'll go and see in a little bit. This is the same process. I'm not going to have the film rolling for maybe 20-25 minutes. It's just a baseball stitch, back and forth, back and forth. This end here, I'm just going to go and sew. And it's going to link up to here. And we're just going to keep sewing this thing up. And we'll see you in a little bit here after the whole thing's sewn up. And I'll show you how to staple it, and we'll get going on the rest of the melt. See you in a little bit. Okay, it's been about 25 minutes or so sewing this little booger up. And he's starting to look like an Impala now, I don't know. Alright, next step, what I like to do, now that he's sewn up, we're going after taxidermy a little bit more. I've done some of that off camera. I've also wet his horns down, his eyes, everything. Nothing's really in place that I want it to be like 100%. So right now we got 3, 4, 5 days to make this happen. So, okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to loosen this up a little bit. Our next step, what I like to do is stapling. You want to make sure your hide is where it needs to be. And I'm going to have some nice wrinkles in this thing right here. I'm going to work these wrinkles really natural right here, right by the shoulder. I like that. And I'm going to have to work this throat latch area and all that. It's just a work of progress. So I did spray them down with some Taxidermist Magic. Some spray, and that gives them a nice coating. Okay. Now, what we did earlier, this is the brisket, okay, and this is the armpit. Make sure you have enough hide to facilitate this. So you cut just a little, very, very close here on this end. This is the armpit, okay. I'm going to take my electric stapler, okay. Make sure you have ammo, which I loaded it up with ammo. Alright. And the first point of contact really is the brisket, but this armpit area here is very, very close. And I know my brisket's going to work. So I'm now going to left to staple this part first. Okay. Now I'm going to move this over here a little bit. Perfectly fine to have some wrinkles in that area. And I'm going to taxi some of this up. I want it to be somewhat loose. I don't want to yank this sucker and get it real tight. So, all right. Okay. Definitely going to have some wrinkles sometime. this is the armpit area. And this end here. What you can do is later on, when it's finished, we'll take those out. For now, we can tack it down like that. Okay. See, there's no wood in this area because that's our pedestal area. So what we're going to have to do is probably just tuck it into the foam. Okay. Well, so right now everything's in position. So I'm going to squeak this hide forward a little bit. We got plenty of hide. When he's fluffed up, we'll make him look a little bit bigger. We're just going to staple him. Here we go. You can tell when you're hitting wood. You can just hear that thump. Okay. This stapler has plenty of power, but you might want to go over it with just your hammer. This is just a plywood backboard. Usually every quarter inch, every half inch will just staple. And again, you have plenty of time to do this. Don't freak out. This is all extra hide right here. What we could elect to do is there's a couple different ways we could do this. What we could do is leave this hide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this. Watch this. Cut this here like this, right? So it flips. You always, well, not always, but hopefully you should have some extra hide. This area here we could tuck in, we could trim it flush, whatever you like to do. I'm just trimming a little bit here, and this back part here is probably more than likely going to be black leather. So Kenzie sells it. You can buy Naugahyde, which is cheaper, which looks like leather but is not. It's just fake leather. Okay. But what I'm doing now is just so it can dry. I'm just cutting some of this extra off. And I think I'll leave extra. But your staples really are not going to do much in the way of holding it when it goes into foam. So we'll have to probably glue that down. We could take some hide paste and glue some of that. You can see there's plenty of extra here. Some guys, they take their hide paste and glue and use pins. You can pin it, and then eventually it'll dry. It'll dry hard eventually. Right now I'm just going to tack it. I'll hold it for now. Okay, I'll hold it. And like I said, you can see, I'll turn this so you can see real quick. You can see the back of this area here. You can see what we're dealing with here. What I'm going to do is trim this real nice and flatten it out. And this whole concave area, I'll trim it real nice, and there'll be black leather back there. But right now at this point it's not crucial to worry about it. So the height is where it needs to go. I'm going to pick him up and move him back here a little bit. What I'm trying to do is get to a comfortable position that I can do some eye tucking and tuck the lips. So it's going to get it to an attitude where I'm comfortable working on it. Check my brisket. And again, I need to work out some more wrinkles, all that. This is just the mounting stage. So what you can do now, take a hammer. I like to turn my hammer sideways, give it more area. And I'm just banging down the seam or incision. Be easy. Hit them in the noggin a few times. You don't mind. Alright. Taxidermists are a little bit nuts in their way of humor, but we're crazy artists, what can I say? Alright. Now what we could do, just real quick, I'm going to take my brush. Just going to show you real quick here. Just 2 seconds. Take your brush, back room it. Just back room it a little bit. And this is no way near as finished. So what this does is gets the hair where it's supposed to go. And if you have your stitches, if you sewn down some of your hair and all that, it'll help it pop out. A little bit of combing. I'll work on him sometime later. Okay, now what we need to do, I usually do this right before I go, right before I'm ready to leave for the day. Get my tucking tools. I have tools that I made. I have ones that I bought. This is a lip tucking tool, and this is an eye tucking tool. I like to use that. It's wood, so keep in mind wooden tucking tools. Obviously, the wooden tucking tools aren't going to scratch the eye, but getting some dried up eye paste off of that, and I have a smaller tucking tool here. I like to get my tucking tools ready. Scrape off the old high paste. Okay, you can start anywhere you want here. What I like to do, when you get in front of the camera here, hopefully y'all can see. What I like to do is we'll build up this area here with a little bit of clay. You know, I had a roll of clay here. Sometimes you have extra clay. Well, this will work just fine. Just gonna put some extra clay on his nose, give it a fleshy look to it. A little bit here in this lip line, this area. what happens is the clay will dry once you tuck in the skin, and it'll lock your skin in place. So that's the goal. I just like a little bit here. All right. All right, here we go. Taxidermy, here we go. All right. See, there's a little hole right there too. You can pin that in place. But what I want to do now is get my nose in place. So I'm going to get it centered where it needs to go. I'm going to roll it in. Right like so. I don't know if y'all can see that. Now I'm going to take this area, I'm going to pull this out, the nose, get that in place where it needs to go. This tucking tool is actually going to be my bow. It's Osage orange, and that was going to be my bow, and this was the second or third one that I ruined. Actually, Tom was getting a little upset with me, but oh well, I was a rookie at this. That's his bow building business. So I made tucking tools out of it. He was happy about that. At least I didn't waste it. Alright. So flat tucking tool right here. What we want to do is find that corner of the mouth here. So corner of the mouth. I got my nose kind of sort of in place. I want to find my corner of the mouth here. Okay. Here's my corner. I'm going to tuck that in. There's my corner. Same thing on this side. I want to find my corner. You remember earlier what we did was we made a little groove in the back. So we're going to tuck this in. Just a rocking motion here, and that area gets tucked in. Okay, here we go. Now, what we can do, we need to have a little bit extra skin here. So, I don't want too much extra skin. So, I'm just going to trim this off. A little bit extra skin. Just trim it off. Okay, so we got the corners locked in place. Now we can go to center of the nose, direct line here. Now we just keep going, tucking our lip in place here, right where it needs to go. Once it's tucked, you can readjust it. Same thing on this side. Bring this down here. There we go. And what we need to do is tuck this. So there is a way to do it. Some guys, some taxidermists don't tuck their lips in exactly this way, or they like to do their eyes first. That's totally fine. I like to get everything in place there, and see how we're looking. There we go. It's starting to look like an Impala. Keep in mind, don't expect to have it looking perfect the first day, because it's probably not going to happen. There's a lot of adjusting you have to do, all that good stuff. So this all moved on me, so I'm just getting them kind of sort of in place. We'll have to work on this nose, and we'll have to break out our reference pictures. Get them all situated. Okay, now I want to turn them sideways here, so you can see what I'm doing with the eyes. Off camera, I've been spraying the animal. The Impala, I've been spraying it with water, because if not, it dries up pretty bad. So we want this nice and pliable and workable. So, okay, this is his inner eye skin, and I'm going to shoot it again with a little bit of water. And if you get in a big rush, or you have to quit for today, just throw a bag over it. It'll be fine in the morning or a couple days. Okay, so this is the inner eye skin right here. Okay. I actually have way more than I need. And at this point, you can just trim it. Maybe about a quarter inch or so. Inner eye skin. Okay. So I moved my eye skin where I want it, and now what we need to do is tuck in the part that we know, which is called the coruncle or cornuncles, which is the only place I'm going to know where it goes right now, is the front corner of the eye. So I'm going to line this up. I'm going to tuck that in. Cornuncles. Okay. Now, if that's the front corner, Murphy's Law or the Three Stooges or wherever, tell you, if you go straight back, this will be a back corner, right? So I got the front corner tucked in, the back corner. Now what we're going to do is tuck the rest of this. Tuck it into the clay where it needs to go. And we got the roller blade. Tuck that in where it needs to go. Now it's starting to look like an Impala. What we can do, I have plenty of brushes. Got some brushes the other day. This is a big China bristle brush. Okay. Spray them down a little bit. Look at that. Look how pretty that eye is. Okay. This is going to shape the eye. China bristle brush and shape the eye. Look at that. Beautiful white in the front corner. This will shape it. Give me a couple seconds here. I'm gonna get my wooden tucking tool here, and also I'm going to get my eye tool. Right. This is his left eye, right? So with my eye tool, I think we're going to be pretty close here. Wow, look at that. Very close. Okay. Keep this in here. I'm going to cut away. And this is really, really soft right now. Just beautiful creature. Like that. And right now, I'm just doing basic shapes to it. Okay, let's frame down a little bit more. Basic shape to it. Beautiful eye, just gorgeous. That's the Joe Meter eye from Kenzie Taxidermy Supply. Look at that eye, just a lot of nice, beautiful muscle there that I built into it. You can see this muscle. You can see the brow. And I'm not done here. What I'm going to do is after I tuck it, I'm going to take a break for today, but I'm going to put I'm going to put a plastic bag over this mount, and I'll come back fresh the next day or whatever and work on them. Okay, so I'm going to show you taxidermy is all about repetition. Okay, so what you do for one eye, you do to the next eye. But this eye here, the skinners in Africa did a horrible job. They didn't give me much eye to work with here, much eye skin. But you got to deal with what you got, so cut this extra string. Alright, so same thing. You got plenty of front corner of the eye here, but they didn't leave me very much lower eye skin. You basically cut it, mostly all of it off. Okay? What are you going to do? And this is where you don't want your skin tight. You don't want your skin tight anyways. But now, if my skin was pushed forward too much, I wouldn't have enough to play with here to get this eye in position correctly. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm opening up the eye and I'm getting it positioned correctly. Okay. Now, same thing. I got my inner eye skin, I trimmed it, I had very little on the bottom. Again, the only place I know where it goes is the cornicle or cornuculus. Front corner of the eye goes there, right? So, now I got a little bit of back corner, I'm going to tuck that in. I'm going to roll this up into the clay. Now, I really don't have much of anything on the bottom, but you're just going to have to work with it. Just going to have to work with it. What we're looking for here is symmetry, but again, this is very, very rough. So, just going to spray them down a little bit. We could spray the nose down, spray the eyes down. It's not going to hurt. Okay. And what we want to do, this is his right eye. Put this towards. Look how close we were. Very, very close. Okay. Alright. Now, again, what we're going to do, we're just going to put some kind of shape to this eye. Some kind of shape to it. Okay. I'm using my wooden tool again. Make sure it's level. We're going to cut an eyelid. A little bit of brow. Beautiful. Look at that. And just that much brings them to life. Feel a little bit of air pocket there. What we can do is pop it. That's why it's so important to have your high paste handy. If you have too much air, you can use a regulator needle. You can use your high tool. Some guys, what they'll do is they'll take your needle tool right here, or whatever, and work that air out. See right here, this is really tight, so what I'll probably do is put a couple T-pins there. Okay. Now, the only other thing I'm going to do before I leave the shop today, a couple little things. I'm just going to play with his ears a little bit. A lot of times Impala are very alert because basically all the predators in Africa, they want to eat them. So, stands to reason, it's pretty alert. You'd be alert. This cake is pretty wet, which is great. Okay, what we're going to do, I'm just going to put a little motion to the ears for today. Always remember that whatever animal it is, if it's a whitetail or a poodle or an impala, whatever it is, they don't want to get water in their ears. Just remember that. So what we're going to do, we're just going to build this earbud up, like so. And this one here, bring up this ear. Just a little bit. And again, we want to make sure that it's turned right way. And actually, what we can do later on, we could also kick it up, kick it back. We can do whatever we want with this ear later on. You can see that this ear here is more up. This ear here, we can have it back one if we want. Whatever you have there. So. And very, very crucial. Just going to show you one more thing here. Something really crucial. Get some hide nails, and what you want to do is make sure your skin is going to stay around your horn where it goes. So. Tack it in place here. Just tack it right in there like that. I'll usually put around 8 to 10 nails in there, and what our goal is to have it dry where you want it. So you want it to stay right when you have it. And usually 8 nails or so will be fine. Just go all the way around. You're going to make sure that your skin stays tight. It's tight to your horns here. So, the other thing we pretty much need to do today, and then we can let them dry, plastic. This is the last thing we're going to do for today. You could use saran wrap, you could use cheap wrap, whatever you have there. This is pretty important because I don't want the nose to move today or in a couple of days. Say I get busy and come back in a couple of days. You take your saran wrap and just pack this bigger full of saran wrap. And what'll happen is this will make sure your skin stays there and it doesn't move. Pack it till it won't take anymore. And what happens is the plastic will conform to your nostril and keep that skin nice and tight. Okay, so there's that. Try to trim it somewhat. So you have customers that want to drop off a mount to you. You don't want to portray you do shoddy work, so just try to tuck it in there a little bit. Alright, so same thing that's on this end. Now this doesn't mean this is permanent. This just means that for now this hide shouldn't move. We can take this out and then pull our nostril skin out and retuck it if we want to. Totally fine. But at least I'll keep the shape for today, for a few days. Just a beautiful little animal. Yeah, Impala. So, see a couple hairs out of place, all that. Again, you could spend hours and hours after say you're done for today. I've done it. But for today, it's fine. They'll dry just fine. I'm looking from the back. I can really see how this ear here is kicked up. And this one here I have kind of out to the side here a little bit. Gives it a very lifelike look to it. But again, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it that way. And the biggest thing for today is just all the crucial areas. Make sure you handle. This is another crucial area. I want to make sure there's no air in here. And I want to make sure my coracle stays tight. Okay? So if nothing else, make sure you do that. And I can see that this one here, when I was pulling this skin here, came a little undone. So I'm going to take this coracle down inside. Keep this out. Alright. You know, so pretty much done for today. It's not done, it's mounted. We need to, next time we need to go over its eyes. Make sure we set the ears where we want them. I'm just spraying them down now. What I'll do is I'll take a big black garbage bag and go over this whole thing. I'm looking for my other tool. This will work. I see in the back here, this back here right here was not right. So, all fixed. Okey-doke. Here's our work of art in progress, our Impala mount. My name is Nick Glorioso, Glorioso Wildlife Mounts Taxidermy, Fort Henry, New York. Hope you enjoyed hanging out with us, putting Mr. Anderson's Impala together. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Check us out on YouTube, Nikki G 123-100, and also 802-733-2590 if you'd like to give us a call directly. And I'd like to thank my beautiful assistant Rebecca for filming today and helping me out in the shop. And I'd like to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.